The difference in between all the faces you read and the grass ain't green when you fix everything. I don't know about you, but I gotta get it out, and I don't know how soon. But if we die, I wanna bring the whole thing. Who cares about a game when it's all been replaced? Each level feels the same. It really goes either way. I don't know about you, but I gotta get it out, and I don't know how soon. But if we die, I wanna bring the whole Just another world that I gotta get a grip of and hold on to. Just another world that I gotta get a grip of and hold on. Just another world that I gotta get a grip of and hold on to. Just another world that I gotta get a grip of and hold on to.
What's up, guys? What's happening? Okay, let's get this going. Get the screen sharing. Boom. All right. How are we feeling today? How are we feeling today? Got y'all live with me. Grateful, y'all. We've packed it out all week, taking quality setups, smacking some trades. The RRs have been accumulating, that's for sure. Yesterday we got robbed out of the buys. We just got missed out on the entries on the lows, and then took a yen loss yesterday as well. But let's see, let me get into the chat here real quick. Sweet. All right, good stuff. Yo, on the Darwin X, do you have a tribe? I just noticed that that's a thing. I don't know exactly what that means. I haven't looked into it, so I'll see what that's all about, because I actually have no idea what that's all about. Yeah, it was twice. There was two really good entries that would have hit very big trades, but for whatever reason, we'll dive into the why behind some of the movements in the market. Yeah, just missed. So yeah, I know we were asking about, I see the chat is active, so you guys are going crazy in here. Let's go. I love it. This is good. Morning. Man, the energy's so pure in here. Ali, Taz, Puccini. What's up? Seth, Emmanuel, Juan, Jose Amaya. What's good? Corey, Harshi, Greg. Enjoying your coffee? I see everyone. You got some coffee emojis in here. What up, Linda? Steven, time to eat. Let's go. Physically fasting but ready to eat on the markets. Joe Ryan, Juan Carlos, Justina, Kevin Block. What's good, fam? We got Tom in here, Gio, Edwin, Eric, Kaz. Coming from former IM. Is he just doing the same live sessions before, but now on YouTube? Would you prefer something else? Kihalani, Omar, Rivera, what's up? Tradetopia. The Tradetopians are in here. Edgar, Michael, Max, James. Everywhere here, man. All parts of the world. It's so sick. Dre, Ma, Karen. Yeah, I have to learn what a tribe is on there. It sounds cool though. The player trader. Miguel Gallardo. ¿Cómo están, chicos? ¿Dónde está toda mi gente? Latam. Yeah, I don't know what that is. So, what's up, Lindsay, Ray, Jose Nunez, Nico Daza, Gabriel, Nuni. Por un micropip, por nada, ¿verdad? Ahí, por nadita, nadita. What's up, Ramsey, the G, Dan, Marcos Vinicio. So dope. Got the OGs in the house. All right, let's look at some things. Let me get my setup here a little bit more formal. Okay, get the mic, switch up the mic so y'all can hear me loud and clear. From Italy, what's up, Matt? Are you usually in Italy? Traveling? How y'all doing? All right. ASMR mic. Welcome to Tradetopia. Gotta get my radio voice going here. All right. Here we go. Okay. So, we have today, as you all can see here, we had CAD unemployment rate and employment changes. That's the last news event. Of course, we always have Trump that can just do Trump things. And other than that, I think we're just going to have pretty regular price action. We're in a very volatile range, as you guys can see. So and we've been consolidating Asian session, London session. So if you guys have been on the charts for a little bit, a couple hours, maybe if you got up early, or if you're in Europe, a lot easier to just kind of have your eyes on the market. But we did get a pretty good mitigation here. We got a nice little sweep, drop. So the market rebalanced, cleared out some of this Asian and London session highs to mitigate this last pump we got towards the end of the day. Mike, where can we get the recording from Crypto Live, please? It will be shared in the school community. So, yeah, in the Tradetopia exchange. So let me pull it up real quick. We'll be dropping, when we do the in-house Zoom and they're recorded, we'll be dropping some of the recordings in here. So it'll be in there'll be a section here for replays. So we'll drop those in there. And then for those of you that are not in the community, at the top, click that link and you can join. Jim is running. Oh, now you're talking to me. Talk dirty to me. Okay, let me get my camera here up as well. One sec. Here we go. All right. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so let's start looking at some ideas. Yesterday, I had NAS here marked up for a buy, and Dow we had in similar zones. So we were waiting for, post New York Open, and then we knew Donald Trump was going to be speaking, and we saw a nice drop down, which we played out a structure here with NASDAQ. And if we looked at Dow Jones, Dow also we get a buy out of this zone. That sell-off that we had happening over here, we didn't quite see this play out again. So, or not even again, it just didn't play out. Didn't tag us in, so it rebalanced. Looks like that was the focus for yesterday for the market, and we could still get a pretty good opportunity. And so yesterday, we saw as the day was progressing, the market absolutely rocket. And we get above the highs. For the rest of the New York session, we do trade above here. So we had about 4 hours, 3.5 hours of trading above the structure. So that does confirm some pretty good demand. And then we started seeing everything kind of drop here. So considering that we have a couple different ways that we can approach the market, if we look at this from a 15-minute kind of hourly structure, we do trade above here. However, we don't hold this for very long. So I'm not super convicted on the bullish structure, but we're going to keep riding the trend anyways. Now, outside of that, what I am seeing here is that this end of New York session, we had this nice pump here. And I think we might get a move up into here so we can get a good short. So this is where I would be looking for shorts, specifically with Dow, with YM, US 30. The reason I'm more focused on shorting here. All right, so we got that right there. Nice little pump. We clear a couple hours of liquidity right there. Nice and easy. We're noting how the market, let's see. We're noting how here we're playing at a prior structure. So solid. Clearly the market's losing demand at these levels. So if we see another pump up into the zone, we also clear out the last couple hours worth of highs as well. So seeing us go down over here, rejecting this, I think we got a good shot. So let's take a look at NQ, and we take a look at Dow. Dow hasn't approached this area. So I think we can get some sells around here. And if you notice, we've seen support. We've seen some key reversal zones in this area. So these can work as kind of better targets for entries. So we can look at an entry maybe around here. Right there. And we have New York Open in about 7 minutes, so it's not like we're going to have to wait for too long. What's up, Pazao, Brandon? Someone said, looking to scalp some indices. Whatever you need. Gonzalo, yeah, man, run it. You're still in USDJPY? Interesting. No, I got stopped out. I got stopped out yesterday on USDJPY. Why are you in USDJPY? Did you have a wider stop? Did you not have a stop? What was your thought process behind that? And big thing here, guys. Like, we're here. I'm doing this, live. We're here, available to everybody, but I want to make sure we're instilling the right behaviors and the right approach. Not that you need to trade like me, like that I don't really care, but there are certain things that really do embody at least having the proper system and the proper approach to trading as professional as you can. And so part of that is making sure that your stops, and you keep your stops where they need to be, so that your risk stays exactly what it should be, and you're not having every other trade have just be weighted differently. Because if you're losing at different amounts and you don't really have a plan around that, that's going to throw off your equity curve. Because now you're not trading 1 R at a time if every risk is different. ¿Qué es un buen porcentaje de tu cuenta en la semana? Cuando no termina en cero la cuenta, andas bien. No hay buen porcentaje, no veas porcentaje por semana. Ese pensamiento desde el inicio ya está, es una forma mal de ver el mercado, ¿verdad? Por de meta no es ninguna forma de progresar bien, porque puedes tener una semana muy buena, una semana que digamos que te paga, otra semana que no, y tienes que darte espacio y tiempo. Pero si tú le estás sacando al mercado, imagínate, si tú le puedes sacar al mercado, digamos, al mes, un 2-3%, está súper bien. 1%, ahí vas. Pero depende también de qué tipo de cuenta estamos hablando, de fondeo, personal, porque se operan un poco diferente. Okay, looking to scalp. Awesome. So now let's zoom in because we did have a massive sweep here, right? We had a huge drop just 2 hours ago, and this cleared up quite a bit of the consolidation, a lot of the liquidity. So this ends up sweeping tons and tons of buyers. So if we get higher highs, if we start to see a more bullish structure, then this could turn into a situation where we could look for buys. Now, comparing NQ, YM, both of these haven't fully committed to higher highs. And even then, obviously we see here as the 1 minute, you see the market sweep the highs, you see it tank, so it drops instantly. The reason I wasn't looking to short this right away is because the way price drops, we don't sustain these lows at all. This crashes and then instantly comes back up. So I think there's a lot of, at least the way I define structure a lot different than most people. And because I don't care if it goes below, that doesn't matter to me. I want to see demand. So this peak, just like poking below and coming back, this is a sign that no one wants to buy, to sell at these levels. So how is this a bearish structure if there's literally proof that money doesn't want to be exchanged down here? So that's a good example of why I don't take the flash crash, and then it just comes right back up. These are not the type of setups that I take. Same thing if you look at NQ. If you were going to, sure, NQ was better, but it just didn't prove its structure as well. It looked better, but nowhere near, lower lows and sustaining that. So as of now, I'm okay with kind of just chilling. Oh, en DarwinX, igualmente, no hay es diferente para todos porque tiene el mecanismo de riesgo que te va cambiando todo el tiempo. Pero en DarwinX, bro, si tú le sacas a la semana, ponte en pensar en meses, aunque sea mínimo, le puedes sacar solo 1.5, 1.2 al mes, con unos meses que digamos que sean 3 o 4 o 5, otros que sean menos 1, menos 2, está súper bien. All right. I'll answer some more questions after we have New York open. The other thing that I see here, we're already dropping back into, we had a little push down and a rejection. Same thing over here. So we're starting out relatively bearish with Dow specifically. Like we're kind of seeing this work its way lower and lower to kick things off. There is a chance that that we get a little rejection out of here. Looks like it is a little bit more possible with NAS, with NQ. Have like a little drop right there. We get above briefly, a little bit, nothing crazy. Trading up here, we're coming back down. So I could see something here. I wouldn't take this trade, but I know I'm noticing just a light sweep of liquidity below. No estoy buscando comprarla, but some rebalancing here. This at some point can be a target. The other thing that I know some of you are noticing is, for example, when we saw the push down, we see another drop quickly. This actually would have been this is the second entry model that I have. I call it my shakeout model, where the market breaks below. It shows no demand. It does like a fake break and retest, and it lures in sellers, and then it rips. But what we're seeing here, though, is there's definitely a potential for a buy over here later on if we get higher highs and the market actually sustains up there. But in the meantime, we're seeing momentum start to build up after New York Open. So we're 30 seconds into New York Open, starting to see the market rally. Amazing. This is going to set up, looks like it's setting us up for a possible sell here on Dow. And on the chart, you can see where I'm looking for the entry. I didn't adjust for the exit. So the exit here, if you want to go against the trend, the exit counter trend, I think it's, for me, statistically, a 2R has a pretty good chance if you're going against momentum. Depending on what the market looks like, you might even have more room to go with. Like here we have some more imbalances that I might look for. So we can go maybe a little further, crack this low. But if you want to do high probability conservative exit, you can, it looks like a 2R is definitely in with good potential, even a little bit more, honestly. But this is what I would say is kind of the public targets. The high probability setups would be to do something like this. Let me go ahead here and set up my entries over here. All right, just setting up my trade. $41,715 ish here on futures. All right. So we're seeing just a little bit of movement, nothing too overwhelming, which is fine. We saw Dow kick things off bullish, NQ starting things off even more, which is good because if we want to sell, then we want to kind of have Dow be the one that's lagging into that zone. All right, now beyond trading indices, we can go ahead and look at a couple other things. So I'll set alert here. If we go and clear liquidity, then we'll be ready for that. But this gives us time to look at what's going on with other pairs. And Bitcoin, man, amazing. We really, I want to give it back to everyone here that just stayed in the game. You didn't get yourself, too caught up in it. You were reading the chart. We were able to identify rebalancing over here, and you just stuck to your guns. So if you held through this, remember what it's like to do that. You used all your other tools and resources, whether it's considering the market dominance, considering just the phases that you see in, whether it's the total market caps, whatever you were using, you have a reason that you held. Maybe it was just hope. But at the end of the day, you also should have a game plan on whether, are you holding something for a quick buck? Is this part of a longer term plan? So good stuff, guys. Dog is ripping. Look at that. Beautiful. We like to see that. We love to see that. Right now, the big jumpers, Ponky, the meme coins are ripping. JUP resuscitated. AI coins doing their thing. Even Ethereum. Who would have thought? Even ETH. But all right, we're not going to go into crypto right now. We don't necessarily need to. Let's go look at some of these majors, because we did have a lot of setups here with the market. So let's take a look at some of these things. Yesterday, I wanted to see if we were going to get the short on whether it was going to be Australian or it was going to be with something like NZD. So the market's been bearish. We had a nice pump up here before the market started to work its way down. So I was looking for a short around this area to continue our bearish trend. And we still are looking at from lower highs to lower low. So this definitely helps you structure your approach to the market 100%. Keep flowing with this. There's definitely signs that there's very little demand over here. So if we want to see an exit at this point, following the trend, it looks like we should be able to get down to this area too for well over a 4 risk reward. So this is what we're seeing with AUD USD. We've had a really good pulse with AUD USD the last month or so. I think we've had we're like 4 or 5-0. And that could change at any time, so let's not get too cocky either. But we have a really good pulse on this. And as you know, part of the technique that I like to keep in mind is divergence between correlated assets. So, for example, Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, they tend to move relatively similar. Relatively similar here. And so when I'm looking to make a decision on, okay, which one do I want to trade? I want to make sure I'm going with, I'm trading with the indice or the asset that shares the same characteristics as the direction that we're going in. So if AUD and NZD, if NZD is a lot slower to work its way higher, then it has a good chance to reverse and stay within our structure much better. So for example, right now, if we took a look at NZD USD, this was the high, here's the low. We're seeing this rejecting the 38.2 right now. I wanted to set up where here we had the last push higher, the last rebalance. Here's where it mitigates. So selling in this zone makes more sense. We have 38.2 pullback, whereas AUD USD is pulling back at a much faster pace. So as of right now, if we had to choose, if right now we were to see Australian up here and NZD slower, retracing way slower, then we would go with NZD USD. So as of right now, I would be choosing NZD USD as the pair that I would want to sell. We're definitely still pretty far from here, so this will be something we can consider probably for next week. All right. Meanwhile, the first 8 minutes here with New York Open have been relatively slow, very tame. So it's the upside a little bit. Right now it's been dropping, 10 to, it's ranging very tightly. Whereas NQ is still ripping. Still pushing here. Left behind this big push down. The market's still going here. So if it continues like this, we may be setting up for a NASDAQ buy later in the day, but only if it kind of keeps this momentum going. And the fact that we're still holding down Dow Jones over here, this is also confirmation that these sells have a good chance to play out. Okay. Now, taking a look at Euro and GBP, we've seen a lot more bullish movement between Euro, GU, and then AUD USD, right? All of these, we're noticing there was that big sweep to the low and then the continuation. So that means that could we get a decent opportunity. Oh, also, remember how we were talking about potential buys on GU, but we needed the higher highs. That was a requirement. We needed to see bullish structure if we were going to get a continuation on GU. We never got it, so we never took it. You don't skip the confirmations. That's what they're there for. So now that we're noticing, and this was here you go. Here was the chart with GU. We can delete that now. Okay, here we go. Okay. So as you look at Euro specifically, we had a nice sweep, clears out Asian session and New York session lows. If we zoom out a little more, and brings us all the way back to April 10th. So we played out of this order block right there. This is one of those moments where the market starts to show signs of, clearing liquidity, maybe rebalancing fully. But when the market drops and comes right back up, this might turn into a reaccumulation. So this might turn into something where this was just meant to lure out buyers, lure in sellers, and then it switches momentum. So we might actually end up seeing this turn into something like this. So this is a possibility. For now, we want to see it give us a bit more clarity. We're seeing lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So the structure is nice and bearish. From here's where we see that sell-off. So if we continue to see bullish demand, then reversals out of the zone could look pretty good. But we just want to give it time. Let the market show us exactly what its intentions are. You don't ever have to force this. Just let it show you. Same thing with Australian, right? Australian here, we see the move down right there, right? We see it spike down. If we start to see AUD USD give us higher highs than the 15, it's sustainable, there's demand, then we can get a reversal out of the zone sometime next week. So, but this is required though. These are not optional confirmations. Why would they be called confirmations? Isn't that like if you ever find yourself taking a trade before you have, all the green lights? Why do you even have a plan? Might as well just always just be reckless. So you have these confirmations for a reason. Liquidity sweep, and then now we're allowing direction to be proven. So when you're looking at how the market's unfolding, remember it's basically proving itself to be worth your money. That's how you have to look at these markets. Right? Has it shown me something that's worth my money? Okay, so looking at USD CAD, we do have examples of imbalances, but I don't love any of the entries. I don't see any entries. USDCHF, a bit different because we see a nice liquidity sweep and then the continuation. So if we zoom in a little more on USDCHF, these are really good examples of money coming in. So we see this right there. FOMC, this is the FOMC drop. So this is a very high probability reversal because we know money came in with FOMC right there. So a nice sweep of liquidity. And not only do we see that, we also see the 4-hour sweep some highs. A little bit of both. So reversals out of here are looking good. At the moment, an exit here would be, let's say, I would want an entry like right over here. Here's where we've seen support before. So like something like this. We're talking about like, I don't know, almost roughly 15 pips as a stop. And then the exit, we'll just keep this as of now, since we didn't get a 4-hour higher high, we can keep it within the range. I mean, you're still looking at an excellent exit. We're talking about like 4.6 R. Fantastic. So here is USDCHF. This is just solid setup. So let's get the trades here. What's today, the 9th? Okay. All right, so let's take a look again now at Dow. It's just been working its way lower and lower and lower. So still looks quality over here. And if we take a look at NASDAQ and Q, we're kind of just ranging in here. So like I said earlier, I don't love trading these types of setups when we don't really have new sort of structure. Like, yes, after we swept this, we have maintained price up here. So is there a good chance? Is there an okay chance that this reverses from here? Yeah. But we're just continuing to just trade within this. So if it's worth the risk, then feel free. But there's definitely higher quality opportunities that we see show up in the market. And like I said earlier, you have to qualify your setups. Okay, so that's USDCHF. From here, we also have USDJPY. This was a setup that did not play out yesterday. And this is a counter trend trade. So we had higher highs, higher lows. The market here has left liquidity. Worked our way up to this zone. And we saw a nice little pop up here before the market started to work its way down. Yesterday, we got into this zone. The market rejected a little bit here and there within the hours, but it wasn't enough to go break even. We saw a little bit of profit briefly, but this, just kept poking above and then stopped out. But worth the risk reward, and, take the loss like we need to. Outside of this, still keeping in mind the higher time frame setup here. We saw this is based off of the daily. The daily rejected here really, really well. And then we've maintained, or now we're really seeing price just trade up here. It's holding it down. So if we ever get back down to these levels, I think we'll see it be a very brief moment. So we'll continue to wait for a setup here. We'll see how long it takes. USDJPY. Now I know my metalheads in here. Y'all want to see some gold, right? All right, let's go see what's happening here with gold. Gold as well. Yesterday we were waiting for sells, clean sells, good quality setup over here. We saw a nice little rally end of during Asian session. Sweeps liquidity, tons of retail sellers. Market rebalances. So considering we had that Trump speaking yesterday, thought there was a chance we might spike up into the zone and then drop. Turns out it just continued to confirm the bearish structure. So this to me looks pretty solid. And then depending on how things evolve, we may end up having an opportunity in here later on. But we'll kind of let that continue to develop. And you all can see there's definitely liquidity building up like this. So this is why we could get a pretty nice short all the way down to these zones. 5.55R all day. All day. Got gold. Now remember, these prices, these are the futures prices. If you trade CFDs, these prices might be a little different. Okay? So just make sure you're double checking what your data feed looks like on your broker and your prices. So we're seeing Dow work its way down little by little. NQ holding it down. The fact that this is actually holding this structure so well and just staying up here, it really does give this idea a much better opportunity, because now we're seeing the sweep and we're just holding it down over here. So the more that price stays up here, the more solid this type of trade looks over here with NASDAQ. Okay. Let me get into the chat, man. I'm just abandoning you guys over here. You got trust issues. Click and pray. All right. Can you check Euro GBP? I think is cooking something good. Did I learn from ICT? Nah. Same setup on Euro. When following US30 and NQ, which one are you looking at to be leading in price action? It doesn't matter. It's so I personally adjust to whatever it's doing. So it depends on the setup. So for example, here we see for example, here, right, we saw a super liquidity. We saw the market then give us demand. But when we got back to this area, since NQ approached this zone first, I wouldn't take this, right? I like the divergence, and so I'd wait for Dow to give us this here. Sometimes it's different, like all the time it's different, honestly. So between which I trade more often, it depends on the season, honestly, man. It really depends. It really just can switch all the time. Yo, hey, shout out to my pops. Got my dad on the stream. What's good? What's up, Dad? What's poppin'? Geresha, what's up? I just click buttons. I caught Bitcoin long at 84,000. Mitigation held for 1 to 50. Let's give it up, man. 1 to 50 is... Put that one in the Hall of Fame for sure. One to 50 is amazing. Done that maybe like twice. I don't know. I've never been on a stream. I'm not here. I'm not talking shit. I just don't. I just don't care. Yeah, that RR is wild. So cool. And I mean, there's a difference between a good analyst and being a good trader. So that's a very important distinction. All right. So as we're seeing this, I'm going to go side by side now that we're getting a little bit closer to relevant price action between Dow and NQ. So let's go through here. All right, let me pull this up real quick. We got OG Navarrete before GTA 6. That's so funny. Yo, that's hilarious. Okay, so as we're seeing the market drop here, now we got, let's say, for example, we're in this structure. Obviously, buying puts us in position with the trend now. So now we have a side-by-side outlook on what could have a better opportunity. we're seeing right now a much different way of price printing. For example, this 5-minute candle is very bullish, but the previous one, you had a doji. So right now, these are very indecisive markets, which means that we're going to get some volatility here, probably at the open of the hour. So you see something like this. We can see how the market is building up. And right now, NQ still a bit more bullish than Dow. So if we see Dow come back to this area again, and NASDAQ is a little bit more mellow in the drop, then the chances of it actually sustaining structure, whether it's here or here, is going to be a lot better. So let's see if we get that. I would love for us to get below, these the liquidity we've built up over here. And then that will probably drive down over here as well. So we'll see whether we go lower first or we go higher first. The good thing is we have setups on both ends, which makes this a lot easier. Okay. So gold, as we're gonna keep seeing that unfold. I have another chart over here set up, so I'll keep my eye on the indices, see what they're doing. And then we have silver. Silver gave a really good rejection here the other day. Ran for well over a 5R. Right now, we're starting to see an accumulation, kind of setting up and building out with silver. What I don't like about anything with buys of silver is the fact that I think we're building up some more liquidity over here. So I don't necessarily think we're done working our way lower. And if we compare silver and gold, price action is significantly different. We're seeing silver break out to the upside a bit faster. So silver holding kind of more strength, at least to the upside, than gold. But at the moment, we'll kind of just wait and see. I don't really have entries on silver. And then for gold, it's way up here, which I already shared in the community anyways. So keep that one in mind. And all right, right now we're just a couple minutes away from the new hour. Curious to see if we introduce more volatility there. From here, what else we got? Looking at natural gas. Let me just get the futures chart here pulled up. Pumping right now. Yeah, so when you can ride with the momentum of this here, it's a lot easier to take, this has just been absolutely bullish. We've been holding this on the monthly time frame since Q2 of last year. So we pinned the low here, and you'd have to go back quite a lot of streams. But we had the low entry here with the target still at least to like 6. So swap fees have been good, have been bad, but it is what it is. Right now, I'm not necessarily looking to short anything, so just kind of leave this, keep it riding. Then this takes us to the Mexican peso. I've stayed out of trading this for a couple months now. I just haven't seen too many good setups. And then the one that we did get last, I think it was a little bit ago, right here. This happened while I was asleep during London session, so I wasn't going to take this. But as of right now, what does look pretty solid is a short out of this area up here. So I do like a sell on the peso over here. This area looks solid. If you zoom out a little bit, you can see this is where buy stops trigger. Enticed sellers get swept And then now the market's worked its way lower and lower and lower. So we definitely have a good opportunity for sells eventually all the way over here. We'll keep tabs on it, but nothing to trip about for the time being. We're seeing Dow work its way up again, and Q as well. Let's see. We might just... maybe we push up to here first then. Stay on the lookout. One of the things that's been really interesting these last few days, all week, has been that a lot of the movement we're getting post New York Open. We're not getting at New York Open anymore. Like all week, we've been seeing the market do more of the same. Decent trading during the session. Sometimes I think we've gotten maybe one or two to trigger during the first 90 minutes or so of the market. Or about the first hour or so after New York Open. Usually, we get 3 or 4 setups on Dow or NASDAQ, basically New York Open, post New York Open, but we've been getting them a couple hours afterwards. And I think mainly because we're seeing a lot of different types of announcements with tariffs, etc. So if we're squeezing as much as we are right now, what I can say with some confidence is that the same thing's probably going to happen today. We're going to see ourselves break out of this consolidation here and probably just chop way up and way back down. So be ready for some volatility here later. I'd say if you're going to have limits, don't get your guard down because things can definitely trigger during. Okay. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's still going up. Okay, so let's go take a look at a couple new things. Sol. Oh, hello, darling. Doing work right now. 172. All right, let's go. We had Sol entries here at 100, nice and easy. So for those of you, you're up about 75, 72% right now. Well done. ETH came alive. This is pretty big. What I'm curious about is, and the ETH BTC chart, complete rebalance from January of 2020, pre-pandemic ETH BTC imbalance fill. That's big time. This is this is the beginning of, I guess, wave 2 of this altcoin move. Not bad, finally. And I think, well, it kind of looked a little bit more clear here how the accumulation was playing out. I mean, you see this. Impressive. So ETH definitely, when you start to see ETH pushing at a way stronger capacity than Bitcoin, these are the beginnings, the first signs of absolute pandemonium. So last time we were right around these areas, we started to see the market build up and rip, which was the beginning of a massive altcoin season. So it looks good. I know you guys some of you were looking at oil trades yesterday. Did you guys end up taking your position yesterday? How did it end up going for my oil traders? I know I didn't take anything yesterday. I stayed out of the market. I didn't like the setups. So I think this is what someone had sent me. It did reject. So, I mean, you would have gone break even, worst case. following our stop loss management rule. So market came up, saw it go about 36 cents or so, and then the mitigation was right here. So we saw a nice little switch up. You had it, followed the rule. So you guys know if it was at 36, let's say it goes up 36 cents, minimum it should give us is that same thing, at least 36. From there, stop goes to break even, and then this would have just ended you in break even. This wasn't a trade that I was going to take. I was just breaking down a chart that someone here had sent me. But I see it. Oh, I mean, we're off to a very, very choppy start. So this is one of those times where you kind of have to disassociate from how making money or progress in the markets is. It's not about how much time you're putting into this. That's never going to be the representation of of how things go here. Like, you're gonna put in so much time. Like, if you're expecting to get paid by the hour here, you have the wrong expectations. Oh yeah, Naked Jim doing some work. Sick. Okay, so for now, I mean, what we can do is I'll just chop it up with you guys. You know, we'll keep our eyes out on here on the market. We'll see how this keeps, if it rips, maybe we get a setup here. But I'm going to just focus on the chat, answer any questions, whether it's Q&A, whatever you guys have, just throw it in here. We'll give it the next 15, 30 minutes. Thoughts on Floki? I don't think about Floki. Yeah, I have no thoughts on Floki. Yeah, that's it. I don't know. Like, that's I think that came off. Floki dropped after Shiba was on its absolute rampage in 2021's crypto boom. So that was like the 70,000th dog that was launched on, I think it was on BNB or something at the time. Yeah. So not to say that it's bad or that it won't make it. I just don't know anything about it. I've never really heard the narrative behind a meme coin like that. So haven't focused on it. Bias for ICP. Also, not a crypto that I have a huge bag in by any means. I don't love the tokenomics behind it. I have some friends that really love it. Like, they're just accumulating it aggressively. I don't have any. Well, I haven't got any this cycle. I actually bought this way back. Now, ICP, though, one of the things that I need you guys to understand is that you want to also look at market cap versus just looking at price all the time, because a lot of these coins, they're actually suffering quite a bit due to the way that their supply is coming out. So, for example, ICP is what, 540 right now? But it could be so much more if it wasn't for, I don't know why I'm searching for it like this. So, yeah, this is not in my bag. I bought some like 2021 when it, like, a couple months after it dropped. So yeah, here's where I got in. I got in market cap wise, like over here. Hold on, let me double check, because this thing opened at like 400 and change, and then it started to slip to around 100 in like June. So look at the difference. This is you all can be learning so much right now just on price and market cap. So price at one point, for example, when it was around $100, market cap was around 9, 10 bill market cap, 11. at $100, right? 11 billion in market cap. All right. So we saw in March, we saw this almost reach 9 billion market cap. Bless you. Almost 9 billion market cap. But tell me why. Let's see, March of 2024, right? If it almost hits 9 billion market cap, why would price be $13? You know, if it's like a 20% difference, how are we going from $100 to $13? You can't see my screen. Of course not. Why would you be able to see my screen? Here you go. So this has kind of been my issue with buying ICP. You have price at $100, way back when, and you have market cap at 10 billion. So, well, yeah, I mean, no, I know exactly. It's because of the tokenomics. It was more of a rhetorical question. Yeah, that's been my thing. And at the end of the day, you can be changing the world or whatever, but if your tokenomics are just not good, then why would I just set my money on fire? So I don't know enough. Plus, like, specifically, I haven't. If someone were to ask, like, hey, do you have a complete breakdown and analysis on whether this is worth it or not? No. Like, I just don't pay attention to this enough. But that's been my, at least, oversight on it has been just doesn't make sense. Now, if some of you have a lot more perspective on it and you've done your research and, if you're a ICP maxi, then show me. Tell me why this is somehow going to make it. Yeah, that's the same issue with Atom. The only other plus side of Atom is that the staking is pretty decent. So you can just, for Atom, I think it's worth if you're going to, kind of trade it, but not so much if you're going to hold it forever. What's up, Sad Zita? You're here. Welcome back. What phase of the crypto market do you see us in? I think I have a maybe overly optimistic perspective on where I think we're at, but I'll break it down for you. I'll break it down and tell you where I think we're at, and either I'm right or I'm wrong, but either way, like, there's wiggle room for the error here. So I want you guys to think about something. The last time we were around, here's Bitcoin dominance. So this is how much of the market share that Bitcoin has with the entire crypto space. So the last time we were trading around these levels, this was December 2020. Okay, December 2020. So let's think about that. We'll put this on one side of the screen. So this is Bitcoin dominance. That's what we're looking at right now. Okay. I'm going to show you a couple charts here. Buy USD COP, buy the Colombian peso. Bro, not going to make it, man. Now check this out. Now let's look at how price was looking December 2020. December 2020 was when we were rallying. It was kind of like that first pump to this area, January 2021. So actually, I'll give you guys the weekly chart here. It'll be more specific. So last time we were sitting around these peaks of Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin was still rallying. Like, we were still seeing Bitcoin like pumping like crazy. So right here, January 2021, and we look at Bitcoin dominance, was around the same time. As it was peaking, we saw December, January, doing this. We're seeing the distribution, the sweep of liquidity, in a sense, right? but pumping through this and losing momentum. Even as Bitcoin starts to lose dominance here in January, December and January, and drop into this zone, even as that's happening, Bitcoin's still pumping higher and higher. Okay? So we see that unfold. And then once Bitcoin really starts to lose dominance and squeeze, this is where we see the next phase on the market rallying. So as we see Bitcoin losing all this momentum, it starts to chop up and down. We see ourselves work our way all the way down to here. So once Bitcoin dominance bottomed out around 40, let's say 45, 40%, when we saw all of this go down, this is where we started to see, alts start to rip as well. So for example, looking at quarter one of 2021, for example, let's look at something like Ethereum. Right, Ethereum here. This is where ETH started to go on its rampage. ETH started to go from 800, and we saw it, go way past 4,000. That was that move. So this is a major reason why we saw the switch from Bitcoin dominance go down so much. Part of that was ETH. I don't think ETH is going to have the same type of market share this time. I think we're going to see Sol, XRP take quite a bit of that. But honestly, I think we're beginning this type of movement at this point now. That's a possibility. And if we're just gearing up and getting started, even better. So my take overall, because the best chart, in my opinion, to look at is the total charts. So if we're looking at the total market caps in general, like how the crypto market was growing, the market overall, like after we started to peak out on Bitcoin dominance, let's say that's happening around now. After that happened, the market still went ahead and did a 3x, the overall market. So I think we're seeing sign. I mean, at this point, like everything is all set for alts to really start to make their move. Now, this is a really interesting chart, which is others. This is everything outside of the top 10. Is this chart? Everything outside of the top 10. So the others chart, look at this. It really started when Bitcoin dominance peaked out. And then the market went ahead and the altcoin season went and did like a 8x. The altcoin market. So are we going to get an 8x now? Wouldn't that be great? But what if we just get an extension of what we've seen so far? That's it. Because in reality, if you look at the overall market here, and now I'm going to go just one chart. If you guys look at the total market cap on crypto, we haven't even cracked 2021's all-time highs on the altcoin market. And here's why I think we're going to go absolutely fucking crazy. We fully distributed all of this. Like the entire crypto altcoin marketplace has been fully distributed. There's not one mitigation that needs to happen anywhere on this chart. Except maybe way up here at like 475, which we can look at if we want to. We can go break this down. I can't use the bar replay on this. Whatever. Either way, this has to has to is a strong word, but very likely that we see altcoin market on its own go do another 77%. Extremely conservatively, I believe that's what we're going to see. But this is tiny. 265 billion in market cap is very small. So We've fully accumulated, reaccumulated. Now as well, we're seeing the daily structure go bullish, especially if we can actually maintain this. Then this is a very good chance that maybe we pull back a little bit and continue ripping. But historically speaking, once we start to go, you're not really getting like deep pullbacks and re-entries. You're just getting reaccumulation, failed distributions, and it rips over and over and over again. So you see how November went crazy, right? To December, like 1 month of absolute mayhem. I think that's kind of what we're going to be seeing here. Okay, let's go down to indices. Now that we got to spend some time in crypto land. So we have a little bit of NQ, YM. They're both starting to show some signs here. All right, so let's get a little more detail. We saw the massive sell-off on Dow that sweeps tons of liquidity. And then there's definitely, this is kind of this last point of supply. So the markets do love some nice reversals out of these zones. I do think we're seeing Dow just slightly more bearish still after everything's all said. So I am leaning more towards a buy here with NQ right around, honestly, like a little over 786, like right around these zones. I think we have a good area for buys. So something like this looks decent. Considering we had a nice little drop down to this zone, I think we could probably, I don't think we're going to necessarily spike below this, so you can give yourself a little bit of room. And then we can just by rebalancing here, we can take this to an easy 2R. Considering there's liquidity and all that good stuff, and this is with the momentum, we could probably let this thing rip. But conservative would be a 2R. Otherwise, seeing higher highs, I think still has a good shot. Oh, did this wick into this thing? So this is the setup so far. It's kind of just approaching the zone. If we see this just start ripping, then it might be another one that just kind of leaves without us, but let's see. All right, it's coming back down. What you gonna do? I feel like we're going to see Dow keep pushing lower and kind of target this imbalance that it has. All right, let's see here. Yeah, we're getting closer and closer. Interestingly enough, now we're seeing Nasdaq slightly more bearish than Dow. See how it's kind of holding in within the structure? It's kind of slowed down. Like Dow Jones is holding up at a much better capacity. So we might actually have a better chance of buys with Dow instead. Look at price action right now. Nas dropping a bit more aggressive. Dow holding up here. So I'm gonna flip my position, I think, here, and I think I'm gonna end up taking my position with Dow Jones here. Just looking at price action, looking how much. Here we go. Looking at how right now the drops are they're happening much more aggressively with Nas versus Dow. So I'm gonna actually go with Dow Jones for the buy, but if it gives me a chance, I want to see it under here. This imbalance right here, I'd be really surprised if it leaves it behind. So if we do get another drop, I think we can get down to these areas, right around an 886. And right now, one of the feelings that's very common is that, oh, the market's going to leave me. The market's going to leave without me, and I won't be able to take my trade. And so what do? You end up taking a trade at the price that you weren't supposed to. So you don't want to... You don't actually... I'm going to take it a little above the 886. I'm going to take it like right there. 41,395 on futures. 41,395 is going to be my price on futures. Okay. So look at that. We're seeing right now all right. So market execution. Let's see if we get a decent move here. See if it holds up. In there. Got a nice little risk going over here. Okay. Getting a little rejection. Oh, let's see if we can hold down the line. And then from here, we can get a decent RR. It's a pretty deep pullback, so I think we can get a pretty decent setup here. And then give me a sec. I got to take this position over here now. All right. A little bit of drawdown. Might not make it. We'll see. Let's see here. So at least we made the right decision by not taking NAS and switching up at the end. So that's a good call. The downside of this was, I think, at the end of the day, we didn't really have the higher high on the at least beyond the 5 minute. We did have the 1 minute hold up and all that good stuff here. So we saw a very deep retracement. We did audible by switching over to Dow, which was not dropping as aggressive as we saw a switch up here in price action. We saw NASDAQ just become way stronger on the bearish side of things. I mean, there's always a chance that this can hold up, but at the end of the day, we don't want to hope, right? So if it does go below, and I have my stop, a couple points below, but if it does go below, don't just hope that it turns around because you don't want to take a loss. Don't do any of that. Like, just take the loss, dude. Right now, this is barely hanging on for dear life. Let's see here. Let's see, will it run is the question. Wild. Holding up just barely. Is anyone still holding this? You should be. Let's see if we're going to get the chance to survive this one. Now, because of how deeply it pulled back, also want to make sure that we don't take this for too far either. just in case it's going to want to come back and take out these lows. All right, so we're getting a decent reaction back right around entry. A little bit in profit, but I mean barely. This is the beauty of that, the divergence, right? Now the thing is, if we're going to mitigate this entire move, this is a huge sell-off, then we might just see this thing absolutely rip. But I'm okay with like a 2.75 R around here. It was yep. If it goes that far. Let's see. Who's holding on right now? Who panicked? Got stopped out. Hanging on. My buy was at the bottom of the wick, so I'm not in yet. Okay. Got me out, and now it's flying. Oh, so some of you got stopped out. Holding. Okay. For those of you that got stopped out, is it just spread? Or... oh, micros. I see. Oh, the micro chart went under. Damn, that's annoying. So I've actually noticed that. So when you're trading, and I mean, maybe we all just lose anyways, but when we're trading micros, so MYM, when you're trading micros, give yourself an extra little cushion, because since there's less liquidity available when you're trading micros, sometimes you will see it go a little bit below or a little bit above. Not all the time, but I guess in situations like this where you have extreme pullbacks, you'll see it go down that route sometimes. So for those of you that are just consistently trading micros, I definitely keep that in mind. And I think most people usually are trading micros, especially on prop firms. So if that's your rule for structure, you put it below the low or at the low. Give yourself an extra cushion. In this example, it looks like from what I'm seeing here, the micro went below like 4 or 5 points. So that it makes sense why some of you guys got stopped out. Yeah, keep that in mind, guys. Keep that in mind. But check out, join the community, man. Click the free community. Join there if you want to learn. There's a lot of free stuff in there. And then, all right, CFDs. Let's see. I'm barely up on this one. Just barely. All right, let's see if is this gonna be one of those. At this point, considering that I've had like 2 or 3 entries that didn't trigger by like micro pips or some points, I think it's fair game. I think, market guys are like, this guy's been feeding people, all week. Let's throw him a little bone. Okay. So at this point, little chop, big move probably coming. Whether it's going to be in our favor or not, time will tell. Let's compare this to NAS, and we saw NASDAQ break below. So you saw we had at least we improved our odds. You good, homie? We improved our odds significantly by not taking NAS, and that's the beauty of, at least how I see it, and then being able to make the decision to adapt, to at least change. So at least now, looks like we just swept below this again. This little consolidation here. Let's see here. Will we make it? What do y'all think? Are we done for? Is it over? pullbacks are deep. Let's see. Let's see. Homie's thirsty over here. So up beneath the lows, we are very, very, very close. Is this going to be just another round of liquidity capture and run, or is this just the end? And it is the end. All right, so log the loss, document it, don't run away from it. Look it in the eye. GG. I don't know about this one, Chief. Okay, so let's zoom out again. Now, the original entry from yesterday, this one is still valid. And remember, if you're going to stay on the charts or if you're looking for different positions, why? Right? Why? Lost the house. Rough. Why? If you're going to trade, don't trade because you want to make what you just lost back. Only trade if there's another setup. And if there's not, then just chill the fuck out, you know? It's going to be okay. She's squeezing. So at this point, we're roughly like 160 points out from this zone here. So he'll be this will be another follow-up right there. So all right, we got Dow right there. So let's have this here. YM. US 30. And then let me add the L we took here as well. You know, originally the only reason I wanted this buy as well was because of NASDAQ. Because NASDAQ on the 1 minute looked better. This right here. This was the original idea, the sweep, and then we were just trading a 1 minute. But once NASDAQ became way more bearish, then it all flipped. The structure, the price action flipped. So this actually, technically, this broke. This was not even a valid trade. This was supposed to be, we needed a higher high to take this. So, damn, I have to log this one as an undisciplined trade, which actually hurts. Because here, this needed to give us a higher high. The trade that we were taking was NQ, which was the drop here, which actually did play out. And then once NQ flipped its momentum and it became the bear, then this trade was no longer valid, so we weren't going to take it. And since this big ass sell over here happened, yeah, we really shouldn't have taken this one. Okay. Well, that one's on me. But either way, gotta log it, guys. Here's the thing. The nice thing is becoming someone that can extract from the market. It doesn't require perfection, but you do need to be on top of it. And the biggest thing is this. Like, you have wiggle room for errors, but you can't let those mistakes be too big. You can't let them be big mistakes. You know, cool, -1R, you can get away with that. That's not a problem. But let's see here. All right, I'll share these here. I'll have to recap all the week because we had a really good week outside of really today and then yesterday as well. But the beginning of the week we were on one. Okay. And so let's have that there. So let's see if we get this later. We'll see if we get back over here. And then if we take a look at NQ, NQ is now getting back down to this level. This was from yesterday's dip. This was that Trump speech. Or that's what we're trading around right now, right around these areas. So if we look at this, NQ right now is at a 786 pullback between that structure. And we see Dow pulling back less aggressively, but the pullback on the higher time frame at the moment is now sitting at here, okay, 886. So if we look at this, and we look at how price was playing out here yesterday, all right, let's see over here. Where is this thing? There we go. Okay. So, for example, this is where we saw that last drop before it ripped yesterday. Right here. Right there. Right here we saw everything start to melt. Came up one more time and dropped again. Right at like where we have the 886 here. We just saw the market tap that 886 for a second time here, right there. Now, if you look at NQ, NQ is now reaching the same areas from yesterday where the market sold off, rallied. Okay. So if we look at yesterday's price action, just go look at this imbalance over here. You see the big push down starts to happen from up here. Starts to just push one more time, push down again, and then it goes. So this is the massive sell-off before it runs. Then we had continuation. Market came back to the zone here during Asian session. Gave a nice mitigation. Okay. So played right out of here. Already. We saw the exchange of money from sellers to buyers. So here, right now we're starting to see, a light little reversal. Cool. Because the way that I perceive the market, it looked like we already saw the swap from sellers to buyers right here. I'm not too eager to get into the market. There is more imbalance and all that good stuff here. So, like, I totally understand that. And we're starting to see a reversal again. So if you're someone that likes to trade off of, like, those last points of supply, then I get it. Then you will have a setup here, a little bit lower, I think. But that's just if that's your game. Otherwise, there's another dip here on the 15-second before it rips. So, what you don't want to do right now, though, what you don't want to do is just go and force trades because you just lost some money. So wait for good setups. Wait for the best setups. Wait for the ones that just are abundantly clear. Like, in my opinion, we have this lower entry here that we never got to close, whether it was NQ or it's Dow. Either or. So if we're looking at this over here, I'm waiting for the setup down here. Like, all of this, cool. To me, it looks like it's efficient, mitigated, all that good stuff. Yeah, NQ has a bit more of an imbalance, but I'd rather keep trading the extremes than to, like, oh, well, like, it already rejected, but, like, it kind of looks like it could. It kind of does. But like I said earlier, what are you doing? What are you trading? 1 to 4 on Nassau's. Nice. Crushing it. Where was the trade, bro? Yeah, so yesterday's zones are what looks good here. With this drop, I think I'm sure we saw cryptos dip a little too. And then to follow up on majors real quick before we wrap up the session. All right, majors dropping a little bit. Nothing. There aren't really any setups right now. So chilling here. Let's see, gold or USD CAD. Chilling. Not enough structure for USD CAD. All right, UJ, gold here. All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, guys, we had an amazing week. Overall, net RR up quite a bit. Took an L today. Took an L yesterday, too. But you have to keep that in mind. And I think that's the beauty of having the documentation, logging all your trades, is that you can see, okay, I can lose 1, 2, maybe even 3 in a row, and then I make one, and you're not even back. It's evening out, right? The law of averages are just playing out. The law of large numbers, like that's all you're doing here. So don't get in your own way. The system, you have to allow the system to work. If you're going through too much drawdown, or you're, for example, like I think we had throughout the last 2 days, a dozen people, right, pass accounts and get funded. Other people didn't. Some of you got close. And then all of a sudden you lose and it's getting away from you, and you lose and it's getting away from you again. Don't let the desire for the result change the way you're trading. Just it's okay. If you have to wait another 3 or 4 days to get the payout, to get the withdrawal, to pass, it's fine. And if your couple losses are causing you to feel more emotional, more impulsive, then you got to dial back your risk, or you have to increase your confidence in your system. Because if you can only trust it when you're winning, then you don't trust it. Appreciate you, Mike. It's been hard to keep going, but I got my fam in mind to keep it going. Yeah, you have to. Blessed weekend for everybody. 100%. Cool. Hey, well, here's the good thing. We win together. We lose together. But the biggest thing is make sure that when you lose, it's a controlled loss. Okay? That's the big one. Because here's what happened. I can almost guarantee there's someone here on this stream right now that didn't allow themselves to lose the right way. And you're still holding Dow Jones, hoping that it turns around for you. Don't be that person. All right? Don't just keep hoping that it's going to turn around and it's all going to be okay. So keep your eyes out on NQ and YM for the buys. I think breaking down a bit further. And then here, I posted this now on the community. So I'm about to let anyone that was joining just right now off the stream, I'm going to let you guys in here. And then we'll go from there. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for subscribing, liking hitting the like button, all that good stuff. And then the link to the join the free communities at the top. So we'll be here again, guys. We'll be here on Monday. We'll be doing I'll be doing a trading psychology Q&A, and then we'll be doing the 3-day reset here soon. So keep that in mind and have a great rest of your day, guys.